Once upon a time, in a land where powdered wigs and ruffled shirts reigned supreme, there lived a man named George who fancied himself the most important patriot of the American Revolution. George spent hours admiring his own reflection in the mirror. Convinced that his nose was perfectly shaped for leading a nation, one day he declared that even the trees seemed to whisper, "Freedom is our song," as if nature itself was endorsing his hairdo. Meanwhile, across town, a group of founding fathers were plotting the revolution, secretly giggling over their exaggerated plans for independence. Benjamin Franklin, known for his wit and his kite experiment, joked that he could electrify not just a kite, but even the stubbornness of British officials. He claimed he was working to shock some sense into them, raising eyebrows and hearty laughs among his colleagues. In the bustling streets, merchants boasted about their goods with such hyperbole that a simple apple was described as the finest treasure from the Garden of Eden. People believed every word with the seriousness of a court trial, even though most knew the apples came from the same old orchard. At the Continental Congress, debates raged, often so intense that members passionately argued over whether tea or coffee was the true symbol of American independence. Some claimed that coffee was for thinkers, while tea was for the indecisive, leading to a humorous deadlock that lasted for hours. Meanwhile, Paul Revere rode through the night, not just warning of the British advance, but also exaggerating the number of redcoats to frightening proportions. He claimed they have hundreds of soldiers, but in reality it was more like a few dozen trying to look intimidating. His report sent colonial militiamen into a frenzy, ready to battle an army that was less a horde and more a militia of over-enthusiastic neighbors. As battles began, soldiers often wore mismatched uniforms, which their comrades humorously claimed made them look like walking patchwork quilts. The British, on the other hand, thought the colonists' makeshift attire was a sign of their lack of seriousness, not realizing it was a fashion statement of rebellion. In Valley Forge, winter was so brutal that even the squirrels looked like they were wearing tiny fur coats and shivering bets. George Washington supposedly told his men, "If we can survive this, we can survive anything," while secretly wishing he had a warm blanket of his own. During these tough times, soldiers resorted to making jokes about their rations, insisting that hardtack was the world's least appetizing cookie. Some humorously claimed that hardtack was so tough, you could use it as a weapon or a doorstop, whichever came first. As news of victory spread, revelers celebrated with fireworks that were more smoke and noise than actual light, creating a spectacle of ironic grandeur. In the midst of chaos, the founders drafted the Declaration of Independence, which was surprisingly long, considering how impatient everyone was for dessert. The authors joked that they could have summarized it in a single sentence, but they wanted to sound more important. When the document was finally signed, some men joked that their signatures looked like they had been written in a hurry, perhaps fueled by too much cider. News of their daring stand against Britain made applause echo through taverns where everyone raised their mugs to liberty, except the teetotalers, of course. The ironic part was, despite all the fighting and fuss, life in the new country often remained chaotic and unpredictable, much like a circus. Yet the revolution's humor and exaggeration kept spirits high, turning hardships into stories told over generations with laughter and irony. Years later, historians would chuckle at how the founding fathers, in their grandiosity, ended up shaping a nation that was equally full of humor and hope. And so, from powdered wigs to fireworks, the Age of Revolution remains a legendary chapter in the comedy of history. The story reminds us that even in the darkest times, humor can be a powerful tool for unity and resilience. In fact, sometimes laughter is the greatest rebellion of all, echoing through history with an ironic smile. And that is why, today, we celebrate that remarkable era with stories filled with humor, irony, and just a dash of exaggeration to keep us entertained. Because after all, history isn't just about dates and battles. It's about the stories we tell to keep the past lively and fun. So next time you read about the revolution, remember to laugh a little, for history has a funny way of repeating itself with a twist. And perhaps the best way to honor the brave and humorous spirit of those early Americans is to never take life too seriously. After all, even the most serious moments can turn into the funniest tales, especially when exaggerated with a wink and a smile. That's the true lesson of this historic era. Embrace humor, irony, and exaggeration, because they make history memorable and fun. In the words of Benjamin Franklin, who believed laughter was a universal currency, let's keep revolutions and jokes flowing freely. And so, from powdered wigs to fireworks, the age of revolution remains a legendary chapter in the comedy of history.